Hey movie buds, on today's Bud Buzz we're going to be talking about the news that Quentin Tarantino is working on a Star Trek movie. Deadline has already reported that J.J. Abrams and Paramount Pictures have met with the director to talk about his idea for a new Star Trek adventure. The pitch must have gone well because news is coming out at warp speed right now, so let's take a look at what we know so far about the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek film. Tarantino's idea must be something incredibly special because JJ and Paramount have both agreed to his terms that this movie must be R-rated. While Tarantino's no stranger to R-rated filmmaking,
5 long years he wore this watch up his ass.
There hasn't been a Star Trek film yet that's been rated above PG-13, so going R-rated would be a huge move for the franchise. The industry is changing. Recent hits like Deadpool and Logan have proven that R-rated movies can still make a killing at the box office.
Businesses are booming.
Paramount has obviously noticed this trend, and since they weren't really happy with the performance of Star Trek Beyond, it's time for change. By going with an auteur like Tarantino and being more open to a mature R-rated film, they're hoping to breathe new life into the franchise, which would result in audiences coming back to the theaters. Another thing this would do would help separate the Star Trek franchise from Disney's more family-friendly Star Wars franchise, which of course also has J.J. Abrams behind the scenes. No information has actually surfaced yet about what his actual pitch was, so we don't really know what the story is going to be, but it's still believed to involve Kirk, Spock, and the crew of the last 3 films. During an interview on the Nerdist podcast, Tarantino was talking Star Trek and brought up some of his favorite episodes, and there were some themes that were similar there. 2 shows that were brought up were the original series episode, The City on the Edge of Forever, and the Next Generation episode, Yesterday's Enterprise. If you're not familiar with the plots of those episodes, the original series, City of the Edge of Forever, deals with Bones traveling back to the 1930s, and he does something to change time. So Spock and Kirk travel back to prevent Bones from messing up the timeline, but to do so, they might have to let a woman played by Joan Collins die, which is tough for Kirk since he has a crush on her. In Yesterday's Enterprise, Picard and the Next Generation crew are observing a wormhole when an older version of the Enterprise with a different crew comes through from the past, which instantly changes history. With everyone on the ship not noticing the change except for Whoopi Goldberg, it's up to her and Picard to return the ship through the wormhole and to once again fix time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
So what we could take away from that Nerdist interview is that time travel is going to be showing up in this movie. In some way, shape, or form, the crew is going to travel through time, which is perfect for Tarantino, who has a known love for non-linear storytelling. It's also recently been reported that Tarantino won't be the only one working on the script for the new Star Trek film. The director has met with several screenwriters to share ideas about the movie, and it's from this group that he's going to choose who he feels is the best fit to join the project. Let's take a look at who's on that writer's shortlist. First up on our list is Mark L. Smith. This is the guy that wrote The Revenant. And if you can't see the guy that wrote The Revenant and the guy that wrote and directed The Hateful Eight getting along, then you're as blind as Geordie LaForge. Mark is probably the top pick for the job right now. Not only did he write the movie that finally got Leo that Oscar he always wanted, he's already working on a World War II movie called Overlord with Bad Robot and Paramount. So he's already connected to Paramount and J.J. Abrams. Next up on our list of screenwriters is Drew Pearce. This guy's kind of a franchise it kid right now. He's worked on a lot of big budget sequels. Iron Man 3, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, he's working on Sherlock Holmes 3, so he has lots of franchise experience, which is something that Tarantino doesn't have. Another screenwriter that Tarantino's been talking to is Lindsay Beer. Now, she hasn't had any big credits so far, but she has the up-and-coming Doug Liman movie Chaos Walking under her belt. She's also been hired to work on the script for some pretty big franchise movies. We're talking Godzilla vs. Kong, a remake of Masters of the Universe, a remake of Barbarella, a new Dungeons & Dragons movie, a Barbie movie, and a remake of Short Circuit.
Tell us how you feel.
How do I feel? I feel alive!
Let's take a few moments to look at the skills that Tarantino has that will translate to an epic Star Trek film. One element that both Tarantino and Star Trek movies are known for are big, dramatic speeches. Imagine if the monologue from a Star Trek villain didn't sound like this.
For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee.
but sounded more like this.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
I think audiences will agree that Tarantino's writing style would be perfect for a big space opera. He can keep those speeches as dramatic moments instead of campy and over the top. Another element that Star Trek films and Tarantino movies have in common is torture scenes. Could you imagine if the guy that directed the ear-cutting scene in Reservoir Dogs also directed the scene where Chekhov had an alien put in his ear in Wrath of Khan? If Tarantino could bring back tense moments like that to the Star Trek franchise, that would be incredible.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Let's not forget that the last 3 Star Trek movies have pretty much been action movies, and the audiences aren't going to respond well if that's completely thrown out the door. Lucky for us though, nobody does action like Quentin Tarantino. Movies like Death Proof, Kill Bill, Django Unchained, From Dusk Till Dawn all had big action set pieces in them. It also should be pointed out that he did uncredited writing work on Crimson Tide and The Rock.
Hey man, you just fucked up your Ferrari.
Quentin Tarantino has always said he's only going to be directing 10 movies in his career, and 8 have already come out. And with the 9th being this Charles Manson 1969 movie that we've been hearing about, does that mean that Star Trek will be Quentin Tarantino's final film ever? All eyes are on this project, so I'm sure we'll know more details soon enough. Thanks so much for watching. Be a bud and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to click that bell so you get notifications whenever a new Movie Bud video is posted. Later, buds!